You're trying to love yourself more, but are you afraid of going overboard with it? A lot of you resonated with our previous video about self-coddling and how many of us often mistake self-coddling for self-love. Check out that video to learn more. But what about having a God complex? And why are there so many people out there mistakenly believing that self-love means having a God complex? Is there such a thing as having too much self-love? Let's dive deeper. What is God complex? Someone with a God complex leans towards megalomania, which is an excessive belief in one's own power, importance, or greatness, often accompanied by a desire for control and dominance. In simpler terms, having a God complex basically means when someone thinks they're way better than everyone else. On the flip side, there's self-love, which is all about appreciating and valuing yourself. It's crucial to tell them apart. Why? Because understanding the difference between the two helps us navigate between healthy confidence and potentially problematic behaviors. So how do you know whether you or someone else has a God complex? Well, people with a God complex believe their delusions, but their delusions are often in opposition or contrary to evidenced reality. Despite the evidence, megalomaniacs hold on to their inaccurate interpretations. In this respect, they are similar to narcissists. However, as stated before, megalomaniacs have a heightened sense of self-worth. So here are some of the ways to tell if someone has a God complex and not healthy self-love. 1. Grandiosity. Someone with a God complex is someone who's always boosting themselves up at the expense of others. They think they're top-notch and deserve special treatment. Like they're the superhero with all the powers, kinda like Thanos with his Infinity Gauntlet. But here's the catch, this belief in their own greatness can make them act recklessly. They might end up in situations where they not only hurt themselves, but also others. Now, let's tie this back to self-love. See, healthy self-love is more about appreciating and valuing yourself without thinking you're better than everyone else. It's like saying, hey, I'm awesome, and so are you. So it's essential to understand the difference. Having a good dose of self-love is awesome, but going on full God complex mode, that's when things become toxic and potentially harmful for everyone involved. 2. Inflated sense of superiority. To some degree, we are all capable of developing inflated egos. We sometimes present ourselves as being better at something than we really are, but some take it to the next level. For example, we can see it in politicians, especially dictators. When they make promises based on how good, honest, or noble they or their intentions are, they justify their actions no matter how wrong they might be. Why? Because they genuinely believe their powerful positions give them the right to make those choices, even if they're wrong and are hurting others. Now here's the twist. Given the chance, many of us might do the same thing, feeling all high and mighty. Remember what Uncle Ben said? With great power comes great responsibility. If we're not aware, we could find ourselves justifying things that are just plain wrong. Remember the Stanford prison experiment? That's a perfect example. If you've checked out our video on it, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Sometimes we may be wrong, and that's okay. It doesn't matter if you're in a position of power or not. Self-love is being able to acknowledge that you're wrong when you are, and being able to accept and integrate the shame that comes with it to become a better person. 3. Excessive confidence. Being confident is great, but when does it become too much confidence? Well, it's when it turns arrogance and totally not caring about what others feel and say. For example, someone with excessive confidence won't even think about different opinions and believes their own ideas are always the best. The truth is, having self-love and true confidence means understanding your worth, yet staying open to what others bring to the table. It's not about shutting people down, it's about building each other up and considering other people's thoughts and feelings. 4. Dictator disguised as a hero. Ever met someone who acts like they're the savior of the group, but ends up behaving a bit like a dictator? You know, they present themselves as the hero, but at the same time they ignore what others need or want. It's like they've got this overly big idea of themselves, and because of that, they're rude and disrespectful to everyone else. It's like having a friend who thinks they're the superhero, but forgets that we're all in this together. Does this sound like you? True self-love is more like having confidence without stepping on others. It's appreciating and valuing yourself without thinking you're the only hero in town. 5. Feels insulted when ignored. If you find yourself getting really upset when others don't acknowledge your success or qualities, it could be a sign of a God complex. Megalomaniacs think really highly of themselves, and when they don't get recognized, they take it personally. This kind of behavior is also common in narcissists because both groups crave attention and acknowledgement from others, like they need constant validation. True self-love doesn't rely on external validation. It comes from within yourself, appreciating your worth without depending on others to constantly validate or applaud you. It's about finding that confidence and value from your own beliefs rather than seeking it from the outside. So, what causes someone to develop a God complex? According to statistics on delusional disorder, people have different ideas about where a God complex comes from. Some think it could be linked to biological factors like substance abuse or medical conditions that affect the brain areas dealing with emotions and behavior. This idea comes from looking at similar disorders in paranoid schizophrenic patients. Another thought is that a God complex might develop from struggles with low self-esteem, feelings of powerlessness, or unresolved childhood problems. Other researchers say that super-sensitive people might use defense mechanisms like projection and denial to stick to their delusions. Some psychologists suggest that how a person is brought up can also play a role. For instance, if a child is constantly praised without facing consequences for their actions, they might develop a God complex, never learning to take responsibility. Regardless of how or where it originates, a God complex can bring along mental health issues, along with frustrations and broken relationships. Having a God complex puts a wall between the individual who has it and who they interact with. So how do you treat it? The best treatment for a God complex is developing awareness of your behaviors and emotions. Learning to manage your emotions can not only make you aware of your own emotions, but of other people's as well. Emotional intelligence can help you connect with others and may diminish any feelings of superiority. Tell us, we'd love to hear your opinion on God complexes and if you've learned anything new. If you like this video, let us know by clicking the thumbs up button and subscribing to our channel. See you next time, Psych2Goers.